clear the vegetation cover. Then obviously the topsoil removal also happens. And with that, the surface mining involves blasting, excavation, transport, and many other activities. So the impacts, the follow-up impacts would be creation of new undesirable landforms. See, once you start gaining the coal, you'll have to create some spoil dumps. You have to make some big dumps, and the soil cover, as I told, is already disturbed and it is removed. We'll have to, of course, we'll have to store in some place. It's in the form of spoil dumps and voids, then disrupting the surface and groundwater resources. Sometimes it happens that we need to divert the whole of the water catchment area of that region is disturbed. The groundwater aquifers are disturbed. Even you have sometimes it is required to divert the streams or the first order, second order streams, whatever they may be. It so happens to gain the coal, we'll have to divert them and to another direction. Follow-up action would be the enhanced surface runoff leading to soil erosion and flash floods. Definitely, say once the vegetation cover is removed, the soil erosion occurs and flash floods also happen. These days, recently, you are seeing in the media and TV in the Uttarakhand region, which are the flash floods, which are the reason of removal of the vegetation cover. Then once the flash floods occurs and soil erosion is happening, in the downstream, you have the siltation of the reservoirs and the river beds also. Then another impact would be leaching and buildup of heavy metals into waters, then soils and even the food chains. Then coal mining, because if it is an underground type of mining, subsidence is a follow-up impact. And mine fires. Mine fires, if the coal is of good quality due to spontaneous combustion, you have the mine fires. And of course, the atmospheric composition of the ambient air quality also, it is deteriorated by the emissions and by dust and many other extraneous elements or substances. Another most important impact could be the loss of traditional livelihoods and local communities. So you'll have to displace them. Either the displacement could be voluntary or involuntary also. Of course, there are quite good compensation packages under the rehabilitation scheme by the Government of India and the respective state governments where the coal is available. But nevertheless, some of the traditional livelihoods and their culture is impacted very much. Then another important point would be the promotion of biological invasions. This is one thing what I have observed in the Jharia Coal mines is due to the degradation, unwanted weeds and the ecosystem. See, this ecosystem cannot become a desert. As per the literature available, the Jharia coal mines or any other coal mines, that is in the what you call the Gondwana coal basins in India, they are rich in forest cover. But due to these mining activities, the original and native vegetation is missing, or it has been vanished or reduced very drastically, and a new species, some weeds, a lot of weeds which are of no ecological value or ecological benefits, they come into the picture. Now, the sum of all this, the snowballing effect of the mining it continues, and it will affect a much larger area and even for a longer period of time. Then how to, next slide please, how to rejuvenate the dead ecosystems. Ecosystem attributes. I'm just telling about the ecosystem attributes. The ecosystem exists in different states, either in the climax or in the degraded states. For example, if there's a dense 3-story forest, it can be degraded into a scrub by removing that mature trees, which would be converted into a grazing land. The grazing land ecosystem, of course, is a useful ecosystem. But sometimes even that gets degraded and becomes, it may, in the long run, it may turn into a desert or a highly degraded ecosystem. These states are maintained by disturbance factors, removal of the wood. Whenever a forest, for example, in the Brazil or Amazon forest,
Yes, sir.
a large amount of wood grazing and extraction of the non-timber forest products are being removed. Now, what is the resilience of the ecosystem? If you what do you call related to the ecological restoration, resilience of the ecosystem is the ability of an ecosystem to return back to its original state. It can happen. See, once it ecosystem is degraded or disturbed, I think somebody's mic is on. I think
Dr. Mishra, could you please
Ms. Gargi.
put yourself into mute?
I think whoever is the admin can also do that.
I have muted all. Please carry on, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kindly continue, sir. Dr. Raju also has got muted.
Dr. Raju, you can unmute yourself by yourself only.
Dr. Raju, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. Now I'm audible, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Now this, if the disturbance in the ecosystem is within the natural threshold of the ecosystem has a ability to go back to the original state. And if the disturbance exceeds natural threshold, the ecosystem changes from original state to a new state. But here, with my experience, I could observe that we can generate or create ecosystems better than the original ecosystems. That is possible. Then size of the ecosystems, they may vary from few square meters to several thousands of kilometers. For example, our own restoration sites are few hectares. And if you go for the bigger ones, the savannas or the other tropical forests, they're very large ecosystems. And these ecosystems could be classified as terrestrial, aquatic, or different types. Estuarine, you have the different types of ecosystems. Next slide, please. How to rejuvenate the dead ecosystems? Then how can we rejuvenate the dead ecosystem? There are two major options. One is leave it to the nature. It follows the its own succession time frame, or it may take up to 100 years or even 10,000 years. It depends. And the second option is our own human-induced ecological restoration. Of this could happen within a very short period. It could happen in 5 years, 10 years, depending upon how you repair the feedback loopholes. You have to find out that which parameter in the total restoration process has gone wrong, and how do you repair that particular feedback loopholes of the total system. So we tried with the help of Forest Research Institute and Professor C.R. Babu in establishing these ecosystems, the degraded Jharia Coal mines. Yeah, next please. Yes, we can just go to the next slide. And the topic given to me is specific, very specific. The Jharia Coalfield. This is the location of the Jharia Coalfields. It is in the Jharkhand state of India, spread in two districts, the Bokaro district and the Dhanbad district. And it's bounded by the latitudes and longitudes that are given here. For any reference, you can just go into the Google maps and you can just find out the amount of degradation. See, you will find this particular coalfield in the form of a tortoise or a turtle. You can see even in the diagram, you have this red color turtle shaped. And when you see in the satellite imagery or in the Google map, it's just what do you call, highly degraded. That shape can be visible. Next, please. Yeah, the Jharia coalfields are one of the oldest and important coalfields of India, and they're located in Dhanbad and Bokaro districts of Jharkhand state. And it has a what do you call, a history of more than 100 years. Somewhere in 1870s or 18s, this mining started. And since then, earlier it was in the hands of the private owners. And as per this technology or the methods available at that time, mining was done. And so, and more what do you call, to pinpoint, I would tell that it was doing something like a more coal, or it was a more coal. There's a, and we call it as a slaughter mining, because that was purely for without any safety, any concern for the safety and the environment or the conservation of the resource. It was being what do you call, exploited. And moreover, the very peculiar thing about the Jharia coal mines is that the good quality coal is available at the nearer to the surface. That is the coking coal, which supports the steel making. So that was available, and much of the coal during the British's time, it was exported to the UK. And due to that, the whole what do you call, land has got severely degraded by way of spoil dumps. We have a lot of pits, then mine fires. Then I see I've given links. Can you see the links here or not? There are separate small videos available with me, which I think you can later on watch on my. I have a small YouTube audio channel myself on my name, Dr.EVR Raju, where I have uploaded all number of small videos of the degradation and how the restoration done. Yeah, then let's go to the next slide, please. Next. No, just see this one. See this photograph, and I have just posted a small question. Where could this forest cover be developed? You can see boulders, and you see the depth of the tree cover, and if you can closely observe, you can see grasses, some shrubs are there, some trees are there. Okay, this is one. Just I'm trying to demonstrate the strength of ecological restoration. How degraded lands can be restored. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, this is of the same. Just go back to the previous one, please. Previous. Yeah, this is now. Yeah, after this. Next, yeah, this one. This one is see, now some scientific investigations are being done by the scientists. Yeah. Now here also you can find the variety. You can tell the biodiversity or the variety of the species or the density of the vegetation cover. Next, please. Yeah. Next. Now you see at the background you will find the same diversity of the trees, and in the front you are finding a small plot of paddy field. And this we can call it as something like an integrated farming system. Okay. Next, please. No, this was the site. This was the site.
Mr. Pradeep, could you please mute yourself?
Yeah, this was the site where the earlier 3 photographs I have shown, and this was done within just a matter of 4 to 5 years. So this is a spoil dump, and on this we conducted the ecological restoration, or the restoration practice. And, yeah, next. Can you go for the next, Ms. Kargi? Yeah, this is another spoil dump or another ecological restoration site. This is at this is a model site developed by the Forest Research Institute. They have told us all the integrities of how to do the restoration for the coal mining industry. At that time, I was the general manager of the what do you call it? That company, Bharat Coking Coal Limited, and this was our first site. So this was developed. The next photograph will tell you how before starting the ecological restoration, it was there. Please go for the next, please. Yeah, this was the site before starting the restoration activity. Okay. Next slide, please. Now, like this, say there are about 600 hectares of degraded mined out wastelands, and the exercise was started in 2011 with the technical guidance of Forest Research Institute, and this was possible by the ecological restoration. Next, please. Now, to come to some of the basics of the ecological restoration, we'll just let us reconcile from the literature what actually is ecological restoration. Ecological restoration is the process of short-circuiting the natural recovery of degraded ecosystems. As I told in one of the earlier slides, if you leave it to the nature has the capacity to repair itself over a period of 100 years or maybe 1,000 or 10,000 years. But with the human help or the human-induced ecological restoration, we can short-circuit, we can reduce that time period, bring back the dead ecosystem to a live ecosystem in a very short period. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 15, something like that. Maybe within 15 to 20 years. And in our case, at this place, we got results since the 4th year itself. Okay. And restoration work consists of 3-tier plantation. This is the basic, what you call, a jargon type thing. Lower, you have I'll show you some photograph in the next slide. You have a 3-tier plantation. That is the lower, you have the grasses, and in the middle tier, or something like a 3-tier in a train. The lower berth or the lower tier is of grasses, the middle tier is of the shrubs, and the third one is the trees, grown up mature trees. And in some thick forests like Amazon forest and even in our Assam forest, we can find even the 5-tier, what do you call, restoration, no, not restoration, it is a 5-tier forest. But one thing is, you'll have to keep it in mind is biodiversity. See, you'll have to maintain, or you will have to introduce the biodiversity and try to maintain the biodiversity, because biodiversity is the essence of the ecological restoration. If you go for a monoculture or plantation or something like that, say it doesn't serve the purpose. And these could be the most appropriate ecologically and socio-economically compatible measures. I will just, we can find out how it helps the society and the economy. Let's go for the next slide, please. Yeah, this is one photograph. This we can call it as a single tier and monoculture. See, you find it's only one type of species, only a single species. If you see from the aerial view, you will have a green canopy and it will be green. But when you come to the ground level, the soil is naked and it doesn't, and obviously is not supporting any biodiversity. You have maybe 1 or 2 or a few birds may come over here and some insects may be there. But that full-fledged, that forest type of biodiversity cannot be seen here. And this, I think we can term it as a reclamation, simple reclamation. Then go to the next slide, please. Now, this is a typical 3-tier eco-restoration site. You have grasses in the lower tier and shrubs in the middle tier and trees in the upper tier. And this type of restoration work supports the ecological functions, then the food cycles, and delivers all the ecological benefits of the system. Please, next, go for the next slide, please. Why at all you need the ecological restoration? Why is it required? Because you need ecological goods and services and the benefits from the ecological functions of the healthy ecosystem. What do you mean by ecological goods? Ecological goods means every resources we get from the nature. resources we use, species we see, and the foods we eat are all ecological goods from one or the other ecosystem. Everything, whatever you have in your, even the right from the medicines, except the metals or the minerals from the earth, but otherwise the all related to the living world, biological world, you get from the plants or the animals. That is, these are called as the ecological goods. Then what are ecosystem processes? Ecosystem processes are the biophysical chemical interactions, both the biological, physical, and the chemical interactions between the components of an ecosystem. See, they continuously interact among themselves, the biological, the physical, and the chemical. All these processes are called, and examples of these processes could be, for example, you will get the benefit of clean water, regulating climate, pollination of the crops, generating and maintaining soils, absorbing and detoxifying pollutants. Then you have the, they are providing beauty and recreation of the aesthetics, storing and cycling of essential nutrients, reduction in erosion, carbon sequestration. The carbon sequestration is one of the important ecological benefits of the ecosystem, and maintaining the hydrological cycles. Next, please. What are the physical processes of restoration? Accumulation of fine material by rock weathering or physical deposition, decomposition of soil minerals by weathering. So once we start the restoration process, these would be the physical processes which start operating. Decomposition of soil minerals by weathering, improvement of soil available water capacity, release of mineral nutrients from the soil minerals, the leaching of mobile materials from surface to lower layers, formation of distinct horizons in the soil. This starts working. The physical process starts triggering, and in a period of over a period of time, all these things happen, and the degraded lands get moderated. Next, please, we have the biological processes. Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, once the land site is almost conducive, then immigration of some plant species also happens. Then accumulation of fine material captured by plants, accumulation of nitrogen by biological fixation, it happens. Immigration of soil, flora, fauna, and immediately, see, there are species called the colonial species, or they form colonies. They start in colonies. They enter where the physical processes are started and conducive. These species, they gradually immigrate in migration into the site. And once the plant species are established, the birds and the other small insects and other animals start coming. Now, change in the soil structure and organic matter, improvement in soil water holding capacity. All the biological process, the plants do all these things. Reduction in toxicity due to accumulation of organic material. Natural process lead to development of stable and unproductive. You have the VD communities. The earlier I was told, when the land gets degraded, some exotic and weeds start coming. Now those weeds they exit and they could be removed. Next, please. Next slide, Ms. Kari. Yeah. And what are the biological inputs for restoration? The biological inputs, what we do is we try to introduce legumes, then grasses, then you have the microbes, then you have the soil invertebrates and pollinators and seed. Legumes, you see, they are nitrogen fixing. So we select such type of species, small herbs, shrubs, which are leguminous, and we try to introduce them through seeds and other saplings by introducing the saplings. Grasses, see, the grasses are very, very important. They form the complete biomass. That is the main thing which, that is why in the first instance, we introduce grasses, and once it becomes very favorable, then we start introducing these shrubs and herbs. Microbes, to tell the fact, we in our Jharia Coal mines exercise, we didn't use any type of microbes. Whatever have come through the natural process, like the nitrogen fixing bacteria through the legumes, that happened, but we didn't do any type of inoculation or any other type things. Then soil invertebrate, of course, we try to introduce some millipedes or centipedes into the sites. And soil invertebrates, they are called as the soil engineers. They what do you call them? They mix the soil and they increase the soil space. Then even the water holding capacity, and they are what do you call amazing creatures. The soil just like the snails, you have the millipedes, centipedes, and caterpillars, and all these things. Then pollinators and seed dispersers. These are usually the birds. Once the trees started giving some fruits or some seeds, the birds start coming, and they do the pollination. For example, the bees, and they do the what do you call seed dispersal also. Next, please. The final object of the restoration is the repairing of the disturbed or the destroyed feedback loops. That is our main objective, because the feedback loops have been disturbed or destroyed. So we'll have to repair them. That is the main thing. The feedback loops, you mean that they may be positive feedback loops or the negative feedback loops. What we do is we try to introduce some particular species into the system so that it gets repaired. This is what our science, the science of ecology or the restoration ecology, it helps us to introduce, to identify find out what are the feedback loops which have been disrupted and how to repair them. So we try to do this. And the final is the biodiversity. See, you have to generate rejuvenate the biodiversity so that you get the ecosystem services and goods. Okay. Next slide, please. What is the restoration methodology we adopted in the coalfields, in the Jharia coalfields? The first and foremost, we did the removal of the invasive weeds. See, as it was a degraded land, a lot of weeds were there. The lantana, then you have the eupatorium, then chromalina, parthenium, that gajar gas. It's a very deadly weed. Then you have the one tulsi, that's called the othimum. That is the first step we did, and we started eliminating them. Then with the available grass, we started mulching the dumps or the degraded land. Then seeds of grasses and different native shrubs and tree species are broadcast. See, we try to directly broadcast through manual methods seeds of grasses. That was the first exercise we started doing, introducing the grasses. Then seeds are mixed with another interesting thing is preparation of the seed balls. These days we can hear the what do you call the strength of the magic of the seed balls. The seed balls are mixed with the certain proportion of seeds and soil and cow dung. We make small balls. I'll show you the photograph in the next slide. And make it, and we know that when the monsoon is going to come, we get ready. Thousands of seed balls are prepared, and just before the monsoon, one week before the monsoon, we place in the degraded site. Wherever with restoration site we are planning, we put it. And you will see how from here onwards, most of the presentation is regarding the photographs. See, what I thought is, unless you see now, you can't appreciate. Whatever I'm telling, it's just something like literature, or it could be found in literature. But this is my own experience, and these are the success stories. And it's a contrast. A highly degraded coalfield is one of the most degraded coalfield in the world. Jharia coalfield is one of the most degraded coalfield in the world. And at the same time, we demonstrated that how degraded lands are, to that matter of fact, any degraded land. See, after doing this, I have the confidence that you give me a piece of land, I will restore it. It's like it's something like that. So this is this photograph shows the removal of weeds from the spoil dumps. These are the lantana. Next slide, please. Next slide. So you are collecting. See, another thing is we have to go for the native species. Even in the Miyawaki type of plantation, you might have read or you might have gone through that. The native seeds and native species. We collect the seeds from the local forest, nearby forest. The next slide, please. Now mulching of this dump with the grass. Wherever we get the grass now, that excess grass or vegetative matter, we put it as as a mulching. So this will help. Mulching helps in retaining of moisture, and it gives the initial what do you call biomass. Okay. Next please. These are the various other activities. You can see that stone fencing, that is important because that site has to be protected from grazing by the goats and cows initially. Once it gets matured, it's okay. Then you have that the second slide is preparation of the seed balls. Then your pit digging, then seeds propagation, and of course, watering is required in the initial stages. That we try to arrange. Next, please. Now, this is the exercise of preparation of the seed balls. Then on a massive scale, we used to prepare seed balls. In every quality, see every what do you call mines, now we had a team. We had a small team of restoration team, and we used to give them, the seeds were procured from, the grass seeds were procured from Kajri, Central Arid Zone Research Institute, Jodhpur, and even from Indore Grassland Institute. We used to have a huge amount of seeds we used to buy from them. And these are the two types of seed balls: grass seeds, seed balls made of grass seeds, and native species. We used to cut native species from Ranchi and other forests of the Jharkhand. There are service providers. For an amount, they used to provide the seeds. Next, please. Yeah, now after once the seed balls are there, just before the monsoons, we broadcast or you spread these seed balls wherever in the dumps or the degraded land. Next, please. So this is almost just a flow chart, something like that. See how it happens. The physical reclamation. See, I will what do you call, agree that in very old coal fields like Jharia coal fields or Raniganj coal, the physical reclamation may not be possible because due to the paucity of land and other things, there's not much land available for doing the concurrent reclamation. In that case, we go direct restoration practice on the dumps or the backfill areas. Okay. Then removal of fencing, mulching, seed ball preparation. Then you have the seed ball propagation, then establishment of pre-tire, and finally you could see the biodiversity entering also. Next, please. Now, I've given the species here. See, the grasses, you have species over here. That is the first two, Cenchrus ciliaris and Cenchrus setigerus. These were procured in large amount from the Kajri, Central Arid Zone Research Institute. And another seed which goes very well in the degraded lands is Penicetum pedicellatum. That is called as Dinanath grass. It's very famous in the ecological terms. And as I told, that grasses help in creating the first launching pad for the restoration process. It adds biomass and organic matter to the stratum, helps to form soil. Next, please. Yeah, now this is the shrub. That is the second tab. These are the shrub species or the second tab. You have different types of bamboo. Bamboos we used to, we prefer bamboos because you have a lot of leaf litter with them. And that again helps in creating the biomass. And you have small other species like the Datura, Gigifus, where birds get attracted very much. Bear is small, it is not a big tree, it's a small shrubby type of this one. Then another thing, see, we got this Dodonia viscose, that is called as Vilayati Mehndi. This was actually, you can tell that it was imported from Uttarakhand. The Forest Research Institute scientists have brought the seeds from Uttarakhand to the Jharia coal mines. And this really, it made wonders. It was fast in growth and it's an evergreen shrub species. So it got very well adjusted to the degraded lands of the coal mine area and it started growing like anything. Next. Next, please. Ms. Gargi, can you go for the next slide, please?
Yes, sir.
This slide is not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, thank you. Now, these are the tree species. Yeah, see, I was not having much space over here. So, only few I listed here and gave the tree species like this Mahua series. Then you have the Situ, then Amla, Amrut, Kala series, Kachnar, Mango, Katal, Seaman. I see the mix of fruit as well as some flowering. See, this is very important. Selection of species anywhere in a restoration or the reclamation exercise. The selection of tree species is very important because you need flowering trees, you need fruit-bearing trees, you need wood-bearing trees, and different types of root systems. So, in fact, see, I'll have to admit that this science and these techniques are just passed on by the scientists of the Forest Research Institute. Even Dr. Sudipto ji, he was in Terry at the time. So he also helped us to move with this big exercise. Next slide, please. Yeah, we'll be finishing very short. Next slide.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, this is just this is actual true pictures with the dates I have given, month and date. How a naked OP dump got restored is something like in a period of 4 years. March 2011, this was the first project we have taken up. And in September 2011, the grasses started coming up and the grasses got matured in September 2012, within 1 year. Then in 2012, December, they got ripe. Then we introduced the shrubs in July 2013. Then the shrubs got matured. Then we started in March 2014, we introduced the trees. Then by September 2015, it became almost a matured forest. So these are not from anywhere borrowed from internet. These are live. If you have a chance to go to the sport field now, you can find them. So this is what. Next is from here onwards, I'll just see how I'm only showing the photographs. You can quickly, Ms. Gargi, you can just quickly scroll them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is before eco restoration. Next, the same site. After eco restoration, another scene. Now it's how it got matured. So my idea is to just how we can appreciate things, how it could be possible to bring a mature, even a degraded coalfield. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah. This is another site. This is another site, how I've seen. Next, please. Yeah. How it turned into a restoration site. Yes. Next. This is one more site. Here we did some backfilling, a lot of reclamation. Yeah. And the temple is also been restored. This is it. Next. And you see, we ensured that in every site there's a small water body, at least a small water body, because that is very essential for here. Because you need that aquatic species as well as water is required for the animals which are come here. Next, please. And this is one. See, you can see at the background, you can see the coal mine area and in the front side. See how clear it is from this photograph. At the background, it is dusty, and still the mining operations are going on. This you can call as the concurrent reclamation or the restoration. Okay. This is one more site. Here in this site, we had the technical assistance of Professor C.R. Babu from CAMD in Delhi University. Yeah. Yes. Next, please. Yes. Yeah. This is one very typical site. This is infested with coal mine fires. You can see the baked soil also here. And the background, you can see the coal mine fires. So how it got transformed into the restoration site. It was amazing. It was interesting and unbelievable for us also. This is that in Basta Kola, I remember. This is what it happens. Only thing is we have to give a helping hand. Man should give a helping hand to the nature. You can make create magic. Just scroll, please. Go ahead. Yeah, this is one very hard and compact, spoiled up. This has become a ecotourism site also now. Yeah. During that, see, we used to bring the children, school children, the college people also. Then the IIT, Indian School of Mines is located at Dhanbad. So they also used to come to these sites and do some studies and all. So they were very interesting. Every year we used to conduct this ecotourism for the students. Yes. And just we'll wait for this slide. Here, see, even next slide. Yeah, carbon sequestration. The Forest Research Institute and we also through the IIT Indian School of Mines Environment Department, we wanted to know that what was the benefit of this eco restoration? How is quantify the exercise, whatever the efforts we have done. So we thought that we should find out the carbon sequestration potential of there. So we took out that one natural forest site, then one unreclaimed spoil dump, and 3 dumps which were restored. How the carbon sequestration amounts have accumulated. So you can see in the last row, total carbon sequestration per hectare, tons of carbon sequestered per hectare. It's in one of the site, 213 tons per hectare. Okay, this was done in 2015. Okay, again the Forest Research Institute, they again repeated, and this 213 tons per hectare, it increased to 259 tons per hectare over a period of 3 years in 2018. So this is, you can do the benefit analysis of any restoration exercise. Next, please. Now you have the, these were all these photographs were taken from the sites. You just, you should believe that these are not downloaded from any internet or other things. Whenever we used to go, our team, they used to find, we used to tell them, take snaps, take photographs. See, in the second photograph, millipedes, we literally introduced these some. We brought them in bottles and we try to introduce here in the site. And yes, they survive. And you have around, even a study was conducted by the Forest Research Institute, how the biodiversity has rejuvenated. They have found out that around 62 species have been migrated into the sites. Next, please. Yeah, these are some other insects and other things. There is one more site, how it got transformed. And yeah, in fact, I think Professor Sudipto ji will, Dr. Sudipto will, I think it is his own site where this vegetable cultivation is also tried on a degraded land. Next, please. Thank you so much. This is what I have to tell, and I am open for the questions.
Sir, we have a few questions
Sure.
and in the chat box. So let me just read them out. One is from Satish, where they're asking, is abandoned coal mines used for dumping or filling of fly ash? And that is one question. And the second question from the same person is, are there any private mines in Jharia?
Fly ash dumping, see, it is allowed to some extent. But there is a constraint in this, because when we do our surface mining, huge amounts of spoil or the overburden is generated. And the swelling factor of the overburden is more. Okay. So we don't have space to fill that, backfill that same overburden into the soil. So if at all, after completing our backfilling, if we have any space, any voids available, we give it to the local, not local, the regional NTPC or the Damodar Valley Corporation. It happened, yes. We could give some sites in Jharia Coal mines for fly ash dumping. And another thing was, he told that private mining.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, private mining, it started in the Parvatpur area, that not remembering that name. There are some private players. Private players are now entering because coal blocks have been given by the Ministry of Coal. So now it's a private-public partnership.
Okay, so we have a question from Sangita, who is saying that eco-restoration is an important aspect, and but on the other hand, persistent use of coal defeats the purpose of emission reduction. So how to reduce the impact, how to advance technology to avoid disruption of soil, surface, and groundwater, and minimize impact on ecosystem, and what is the current level of compliance in eco-restoration?
To admit the fact, see, there's nothing like, because I'm in one of the committees with the Ministry of Environment as an expert member, there's nothing like eco-restoration compliance or a condition with eco-restoration. There we use afforestation, plantation, green belt. These are the terminologies. So eco-restoration, ecological restoration, and biodiversity rejuvenation is a little, whatever, a step ahead. Nevertheless, we are trying to sensitize the industry people, go for the ecological security or go for the biodiversity and species diversity, at least like that. So compliance in the afforestation is very strict. There are strict conditions. Every 6 months, they have to give the compliance report, and it is being uploaded in the public domain. See, everybody, you, me, or anybody else can see those compliance reports. And if you're not satisfied, you can lodge a complaint with the National Green Tribunal, or you can directly write under the RTI Act to the because being a committee member, I know every month I get complaints from the stakeholders. So the compliance, the grievance redressal system is available with the ministry. And another, what was the question? The first one she asked?
She was like, how to reduce the impact as a whole for when we have coal mining.
I recollect. The impact is when you come for the environment clearance, see, there are two regulatory authorities. One is the Minister of Environment Forest, the other is the State Pollution Control Board. So they have, as per the EPA Act and the Water and the Air Act, you have our acts are very strong, and even the monitoring and the that is also quite strong. Maybe because the coal fields, the amount of and the magnitude of pollution and degradation is very high because it's a vast land. So it is clearly visible. The emissions and the pollutions are very clearly visible. The degradation is clearly visible. Whereas if you go for the chemical industry or something like that, unless an accident happens, you won't know that something, a pollutant has come out. Otherwise, they appear to be clear. That is the difference. But with my experience, I will tell that the coal mining, see, not much of emissions come out from the coal mining areas. You have the dust, that is the suspended pattern, SPMs and the RPMs, PM10 levels. Of course, I will not tell that they're not harmful. Relatively, they're not much harmful than the chemical industries. That is the thing. And for mitigation measures, there are set of conditions. There are benchmarks, there are standard operating procedures, and we give the conditions to them, and it's very, and we monitor. If they come for the environment clearance modification amendment for the next time, we go through them earlier, whether they have complied with the earlier ones or not. And every 6 monthly, you have to upload your compliance report on the website, and that is in the public domain. So it is done, and penalties are there, and you have the environmental compensation, huge amounts. See, even I worked in the public sector, Government of India undertaking, and it happened that even some of the mines, we were penalized with huge amounts in crores of rupees. And now also in the industry sector, the Jindals or anybody, big large players, they're getting penalized. So that is always there. So that checks and balances available. Yeah. Only thing I would suggest in this aspect is there's a lot of science available with the institute. So you have a scientific institute, you have the regulator, you have the industry. There should be synergy between all these three people. That somewhere it's lacking. See, the regulators, they work in a, I should not tell, maybe in a standalone manner. Industries, they struggle to get the proper science and the solutions. And the institutes, they hardly go to the industry. Because I worked in Jharia Coal mines for 30 years. And there was the Indian School of Mines. Of course, I'm an alumni of the Indian School of Mines. And when for this first time, when we introduced this eco-mining tourism for the students, engineering students, they were surprised. Sir, ये हमारा Jharia Coal mines से इतना अच्छा काम हो रहा है. So that's the thing. So you should have this synergy. Once it is there, everything is there in your plate. You just try to mix it properly and consume. That's all.
That's so true. So when I was working with a coal mine, the amount of difference it made when we started making green public spaces around the mining areas, it really changed the perspective of the communities living around it and also the people working in the mining in that particular mine. So yes, that it really makes a difference. Okay, so we have a question from Manoj. Who is asked who is responsible for implementation of eco restoration and how we can sustain the eco restoration process in the long run.
So we can do. One thing is lacking, or with my experience, I can tell that this whole the benefit has to be passed on to the local community. Okay, so how can it be done? That is one big point where I struggled during my tenure in the coal mining industry. We created a showcase, sites, exemplary sites. People used to come even from Finland, then USA, then South California. Students also, they came, they appreciated. But still somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought that the benefit is not going to the local people. So that in that aspect, some policies should be adopted by the company. And even there after that, I started researching that what could be done. So we were going for the species. See, the species we selected as per the land capability. There's something called land capability or a soil capability of the area. So we are going like that. But the local people wanted some commercial trees, commercial crops, something like that. So we'll have to go for that one. The grass. See, we started grasses in the first phase. But are these grasses suitable for the animals which they are rearing? So it should be something which could be consumed by the cows and the buffaloes and the goats. So that type of grass species we have to introduce, and the trees and the fruit growing trees, and we can go for the integrated farming system. That is one thing where you can go for the mushroom culture, then you go for the fish culture because we have lots of voids and water is available there. You can go for the pisciculture and eco mining tourism. So that has to be promoted very rigorously. In fact, I've been working in the mine closure arena also, where this eco mining tourism could be one very potential end use, where you can get a lot of revenue for the local people, livelihood opportunities. So these things we have to explore, and maybe the industry and the government, they should sit together and chalk out some solutions.
There's a question related to the eco restoration part, where we have a question from the participants in the Zoom call as to how the community participates in the eco restoration process and what is the tentative costing or how is it calculated?
Yeah, how they participated is because we gave the see, in fact, it's a labor intensive work. For collection of seeds and for mulching and for pit digging and even for the security and construction of the stone fencing wall, these all we employed the local people. And the costing, it varied, see, something like that. I can tell that 1 lakh rupees per hectare is a thumb rule. It depends. 1 lakh per hectare. And the employment, the local employment is per hectare 2.5 people. It's been by the Forest Research Institute, they have found for every hectare, you need at least 2.5 people. So that is the amount of livelihood to be generated as per the daily wages of the state of the respective government. It's something like 400 rupees per day or something like that. And seeds collection, see, if you go to the local nearby forest, you get the seeds for free. Only thing is you have to engage the local people to collect, and they have the knowledge. See, they know that if you tell the local name, they collect sacks and sacks of seeds and they bring it to our nursery site, and even raising of the nursery. So these are the costs, and cow dung, purchasing of the cow dung, and so there's not much cost. It comes roughly to 1 lakh, and in a difficult terrain, it may be up to 3 lakhs, something like 3 lakhs per hectare, and guarding its maintenance. And one thing is every year we used to introduce cow dung. Just spread the cow dung. See, the cow dung, it has a lot of insects in it, the beetles and other insects, worms and all. They act as the soil engineers.
Okay. So we have another question, and I think we have shot beyond our time. So if there are any more questions, sir, if our teammates could email you these questions, on your email ID, and request for some answers or some sort of papers or material, like you said, the YouTube channel that you have that they can refer to. So, and if they cannot still find the answers, they might write to you. So I hope that's okay with you.
Yeah, I have my own LinkedIn, and it's purely what I call technical, and I have the habit of posting presentations of my work, of my own research. Right now, I am just diversified from ecological research to climate change and just transitions, mine closure, and whatever presentations I have, I upload. And this also I will be uploading in my LinkedIn. It's by the name of Raman Raju.
Okay.
My middle name and the last name. And you can, I have a small YouTube channel also where I put all these small whatever films, videos.
Okay. So we have, we'll go with one last question where we have a question asking that in case of stone and metal mines where we don't have overburden, how does the restoration happen?
Stone, see, I cannot totally agree with this point, because at least to some extent you have some type of what do you call a thin layer of maybe not soil, or it is a mixture of stone and soil or gravel, something like that. And if you want to truly devotedly restore a site, you can transport the soil. That is possible. See, there are terms called as biological offsetting.
Yes.
Like that ecological offsetting, I call, where you can remove a forest and place it somewhere else, just like the archaeological sites. That is possible. I have seen when I visited in Canada, so they did the biodiversity offsetting. They have removed a complete forest for timber purpose, and each and every species they transform to some other place. So that is possible if you have the resources. Of course, again, this will, what do you call, see, don't remove soil from one place which is needed and put it in the other place. If you have soil or substratum available. So what I learned from my experiences is in the sites which I have shown, hardly there's any soil. There's only some rubble type of something.
Right.
The total what I call the land capabilities has been totally destroyed. But by adding species selection of grasses and shrubs and cow dung. So we used to put trucks and trucks of cow dung on the sites. That was a major cost for us. Tractors just spread the cow dung, and that moderates the and over a period of time with the leaf litter and that small what you call substratum particles it gets. And see, we should not underestimate nature, and it has such a resilience capability and healing capacity. I have seen on the stones also you can just between the crevices of the stones, this plants start coming. Small, you give a small helping hand with the nature. So you can get some results.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for the wonderful presentation and, answering so many of our queries and questions today. And we would, stay in touch with you through your social media accounts and YouTube and, keep posting. And, we would love to learn about your work through the social media platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gargi, Dr. Sudipto, sir. You gave me the opportunity to share my experiences. It was a long due, and all the participants, thank you so much and grateful to all people having a patience. You are welcome to with any questions on my email address or my LinkedIn. And I should acknowledge, I think some of my colleagues have also participated.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
Good
Nigam,
afternoon, sir.
Kalyanji Prasad, I'm seeing you, sir.
Yeah, I was reliving my time spent in BCCL with you.
Yeah, he is my colleague in BCCL, and he has created one that temple. I shown that photograph.
Yeah.
That site was created by him.
Wonderful effort. Wonderful effort.
And Mr. Nigam is there. I think many more people are there. So I should acknowledge them. It was their hardship and their team, and me myself at my Coal India headquarters. We were giving the inputs and other. Thank you so much, sir. Prasad Saab, thank you so much. Nigam Saab,
Thank you, sir.
so nice to see you, sir.
Thank you, Rajuji. Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you,
part of
namaskar.
NCIS lecture series. We will interact with you in future as well.
Sure,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We have been